Hello and welcome to another episode of the Abbott World Marathon Majors in Conversation with. And this week we welcome another six-star finisher and head over to the state of New Jersey in the United States to say hello to the lovely Ron Romano. Ron, thank you for making time for us today.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. What an honor to be on the show with you, Lorna. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but people love your accent.
I can't change it, so I'll say thank you and move on.
Yeah, keep it. Don't change it.
Ron, let's kick off. Just tell everybody a little bit about Ron Romano, all things running and everything else.
Okay. Well, I live in the state of New Jersey, as you said. I'm in Weehawken, New Jersey. For those who don't know, the Northeast Coast area in the U.S., it's right across the river from New York City, a short 4-minute ferry ride. So it's the best of all worlds. I lived in Manhattan for 20 plus years and worked there for my entire business career. So I'm still there regularly. But when I want to escape the hills of Central Park, I now have flat runs with magnificent views of all the downtown skyscrapers and remarkable sunset shots. So it's been a nice transition for me moving over here. I work in healthcare technology for my business life, and that keeps me busy and focused. And, I've run 57 marathons.
And counting. Wow.
Yes, we're not stopping. We're just gonna keep going. Even if we can't run official ones, I still have my own little game going on. So we'll just keep after it.
Yeah, and we're gonna come to that in a little while. Now we came to know you really well just last year, which seems like so long ago, in 2019, when you were able to complete quite an impressive feat physically and logistically in completing all 6 of the majors in 1 year. So please tell us about that.
Well, that I think when it happened, Lorna, or while it was happening, it just seemed like it wasn't really all that big of a deal. It was fun and it was adventurous as all hell. Getting on those planes and riding across to Tokyo and Berlin and all these great different countries. I think the most exciting part is just meeting up with your friends from all around the world. You get to the expo, you see the Abbott people, you check in, you say hi to Judy yourself, and you see your running friends from all over. But as it was happening, it really didn't seem like that big of a deal to me. I like distance running. I like marathon running. And I think I've been kind of training for something like this to continue to do them in a string like that for a while and just maybe didn't even know it. But obviously with the year 2020 hitting us and you gain some perspective, oh my gosh, only 7 people were able to do it. And what I'm most proud of is how consistent I was able to maintain my times. I was no more than a minute or a minute and a half apart on all 6 of them. And the conditions, as you know, being at these races are so wildly different. We started off in Tokyo, and it was a flashback to 2018 Boston for me. I love running in the rain, but I don't like pouring rain cold. I'm not sure anyone actually does, by the way. But a couple of my good friends I'll give a shout out to. Before the race, I was with Mark Tebby and David Fan, a friend from New York who runs with Central Park Track Club. And he was also there to get a 6-star. And they can attest, I just couldn't get warm. I was frozen, Lorna. I was frozen in the corrals and we're getting poured on.
So was I.
Yeah. Oh, and let me tell you something, way more sympathy for you because you're not running the race, right? And of course, in typical Ron fashion of doing something really dumb, I have like a rain slicker on, and right before the race goes off, the Abbott people come over with the camera and they're filming me and David because they know we're going to get our 6-star. And I'm like, all right, David, that's enough. I got to wake up and get going. And I like hurl my rain jacket off. Brilliant move, Ron, pouring rainstorm. And I was okay for a huge chunk of the race, probably around 18, 19. And then the hypothermia set in just like it did in 2018 Boston. And I stayed focused, was able to get to the line. And I think one of the things Marcus talked about when he earned his 6-star is you have this vision of what it's going to be like, right? You come across that line and you want to meet the Abbott people and you want to be in the video and you want it to be perfect. And then reality sets in. You're frozen. You're not even sure which way you're going. And you just get to the line. But my little story there after Tokyo was I just remember coming around the corner and you know how they greet you before they bring you into the tent to actually get the medal. And I'm not sure if I imagined this or dreamed this, but I think they sang to me in like Japanese. And it was like emotional for me. Like I was all like calm up till that point. Then I was just like, I kind of like lost it. I was like crying a little bit. It like hit me that I finally actually done it. and got in the tent and saw Michael Caparazzo from New York Road Runners Club and a few other runners. And, that I didn't make it more than a block down the road to try to retrieve my clothes before I ended up getting wheeled off into the medical because I was just frozen, blue-lipped and frozen. So that was Tokyo. And 2 weeks later, I bounced back at the New York City half and ran 128. So I really got it together quickly. And then Boston, my son, who's now just graduated college, came to see me run a marathon for the first time since he was about 8. And I'm not sure how much of that one he remembers, but he was out on the course in Boston with one of his good high school cross-country teammates. And they met me at a few points. They met all my crazy running friends from around the world. And he was out there on the course. And that was my fastest of the 6. I ran 3:13 in Boston. And then, you shuttle off to London 13 days later. And I think 3:16 London. And then I did a 15-mile ultra, my first ultra, like 2 weeks after London or 3 weeks after London, no break, in the schedule, wanted to stay fit. And then the back end came together beautifully, Berlin, 3:15. In another rainy day, but not cold. So totally enjoyed that rain and enjoyed seeing friends from all over. And then Chicago was like 3:16, another great day, friends from all over, and finished up in New York on my home turf, which is just amazing for me because I run through all the boroughs and all my teammates are around, all my friends are around, and I've got people with signs out there. And I just missed breaking. I just missed 3:16. I was like 3:17:01 or 3:17:02. But when I came across that line, Lauren, I was just like, I'm done. I did it. Like, wow.
So you got your medal in Tokyo, but proceeded to run all of them for a second, if not another time, so that you did all of them from March through to November. I mean, and New York, was the last major that we had for the mass runners. So your consistency, Ron, is quite incredible. How do you stay that close to your target time on really varied courses as well?
I think I'm a high mileage runner, and I like to do long runs. They're like the teeth of my training, even when we're not training for anything like right now. So long runs never come out of my program. I may not be running them hard, but I run them on trails, I run them on hills, or I run them on flats and, maybe do speed in their longer run. So I think it's a staple. If for anybody listening who's just trying to do the 6-star or run faster times, you can't take long runs out of your rotation. They got to stay in there. Even now, if you're not building for a real race, you still need the volume of one longer run a week. It doesn't have to be 22, 24. It can be 15 or 16 miles at this time of the year, but keeping it in there kept me consistent. And that 50-mile run, my friend won the JFK 50-miler. And by the way, she ran 2:38 in Boston last year on the hot year that we all ran. She was like one place behind Sarah Hall. She was the one who talked me into it because she's also, besides being a great marathon and ultra runner, she's like, come on, you need to do an ultra. And I'm like, okay, I'll do an ultra. I got my rear end kicked out there, man. But, I thought I blew up the back half of the year, Lorna. And for the people out there listening, you know what? Sometimes doing something crazy or pushing yourself like way further out there is not going to end in disaster. Sometimes you got to just like, let it loose and let it fly and just like see where it all works. And I actually think it helped me for the back end of those 3 races, because in my mind, I was like, if I can do a 50-mile run with 10,500 feet of elevation, I can finish 3 more marathons in 35 days.
Oh yeah, that's probably easy in comparison. It's like half the distance. That's amazing. I want to just get a couple of quick fire answers from you just while we're talking about the majors, and then we'll move on. Now, I know that you and Marcus Brown, who was also on our show the other week, did a podcast talking through the majors. But for those who've not heard it, I just want to get quick fire answers from you. So 1-word answers, Ron. Your favorite major?
Okay. Can I say the year, not just the race itself?
You can. I'll let you do that.
Okay. 96 Boston, the 100th Boston.
Your toughest major?
2018 Boston in the monsoon.
Your slowest major?
My very first, New York City. I ran 3:39 in 1993. I believe the year Fred LeBeau and Greta Weitz ran together, had brain cancer. That was my very first.
What a start. The major you're most eager to run again?
Without a doubt, Tokyo, because I'll earn my second 6-star.
And one word to describe how you felt completing all 6.
Amazing.
Brilliant. So let's move forward. 2020 has obviously been challenging and unusual for everyone in the running community, but like you said before, you certainly have not stood still. Give us a recap of the year and share some of the amazing marathons that you've still been able to run.
Well, as we all know, 2020 is the year we've been challenged to re-examine everything about the world and how we treat other humans. And I was struggling mightily, Lorna, like most of us, particularly here. We, as it all unfolded, China first, and then Italy, took it so hard second, and I think Spain, in terms of the chronology of how the pandemic laid out, and then New York, we just were obliterated. And being here, not living in the city anymore, but being there almost every single day and working in the healthcare technology space, seeing park space being dug up to be used for graves and watching refrigerated tractor trailer trucks roll up to hospitals to serve as temporary morgues. This is the space I work in. I work in healthcare technology. I've got employees getting COVID. I've got doctors and nurses and people that work in that space who were just suffering from PTSD. And I was sitting here, one of the business questions I ask of my team to ask executives are like, what keeps you up at night? What are you struggling? What's your biggest challenge? And I could not go to sleep at night until I started sending meals to frontline healthcare workers. I started sending bagels and pizza and just simple things, little notes, hey, keep it up and stay in the fight, my hashtag. And, I noticed it was like the only part of the day that I really felt good about myself. I'm alone, right? You have to be alone. You got to isolate yourself. I'm here with my beautiful dog. My son's off in Romano college, and when there's no more social running, which is the fabric of who I am, is organizing runs and community stuff. So I just was really suffering with just malaise and maybe even a little depression. Like, what can I do? So I decided that people know me for running all 6 in 1 year. They know me for that adventure and experience. And I said, I'm going to do a fundraising. I'm going to do a GoFundMe page, and I'm going to run 6 marathons in 6 weeks. And you know what? A lot of people follow me. They actually care about this crazy guy and what he's doing. Who knows? Maybe I'll raise a few bucks. Like in my wildest dreams, I thought, maybe I'd raise $500, $1,000, something like that. I raised $4,000, and I agreed upfront to match whatever I raised. So I had to put $4,000 of my own in. And I was just really proud to deliver $8,000 in meals to frontline healthcare hospital workers all over New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Westchester. And I got so much more back out of that than they ever could. But seeing their smiling faces or having them write me notes back or send a card back, it just really let me know that, doing something for others is always a good thing to do. And then on the heels of that, Black Lives Matter. And I decided, I guess my streak of 6 isn't over. So I decided to continue running, and I did 4 more until my body just couldn't handle anymore. So that was 10 in 10 weeks. And I raised money for them, for Color of Change, an organization that's doing good things in the community. I shared a ton of articles and news stories, and I've been doing podcasts and trying to get more people of color on my podcast to share their stories and, focus on trying to make things more equal in the world. So that has kept me remarkably busy and deeply fulfilled.
You really are a true champion, Ron. That's hugely impressive. And I did see some of your journey and was baffled at how you could maintain that. But I think you had that driving force. And I wanted to know, aside from the work that you're doing to support the healthcare workers and championing the Black Lives Matters, who has inspired you over the years and maybe continues to inspire you to keep doing what you're doing and to keep going?
Oh, I love that one. It's my mom, Lorna, always has been. She's going to be 88 in September. She's had lymphoma for nearly 30 years. She worked the same job for 45 years and retired at 87, driving herself back and forth about 40 miles a day with her monthly 2 times a month lymphoma treatments. She's just such an old school, powerful, strong woman. She's a tiny little Irish lady. Her eyes twinkle. You want to be in that light of her eyes twinkling and her smile. And she's just the toughest and strongest person I've ever met. Nothing stops her. and that's it. She always challenged me and my brothers to be our best, to do our best. And whatever I did, she always felt like I could do more. But in a most positive way, not like, hey, you're not doing well enough or you're not getting the most out of life, but like, I know you can do more. And she's the person I always think of in my toughest spots when I'm struggling or I'm really beat or I'm really tired. And two of those runs for Black Lives Matter were over 90 degrees. And I have to tell you, I was cooked in every way, Lorna. I was baked. And she was always the one I thought of when I was out there. Just like her motto in life is put one foot in front of the other. Does it get any more simple than that? So always my mom.
She's taught you well, and that explains a lot. I can now see where you get your will and determination from. And what is next on your marathon journey, Ron?
I would love, in addition to getting my second 6-star in Tokyo, if that happens, I'd like to do them all in a row because I don't. Judy and some others researched it for me. I don't think anyone's ever done all of them in a row, 2 years in a row. So that was a big thing because I love to try to do things first. And without a doubt, one thing that's on my mind is the 7 continents in 7 days. If I could ever figure out a way to pay for that excursion or maybe do some fundraising, try to hit the corporate world up, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, you're not stopping. And so you said you've done 57. I mean, do you have a number in mind that you want to reach, or is it year by year, challenge by challenge? How does your mind work in those sort of terms?
It's definitely year by year because for any of the listeners out there, I started very late. I was a college Division I baseball player in the States. So that's like the highest level of competitiveness for our athletics here in the US. And I didn't start running until I was like 33, 34 years old. And so, it's never too late to start, building great fitness with running. But I just don't really have a number. I mean, 100's cool. So yeah, that would be pretty sweet to get to 100. And I think I would have been easily like rolling because it would have been the 6 this year, God willing, if I'd stayed healthy, and that would have been like 63 and, chipping away at it, but we'll see. We all know none of this stuff is up to us. It's up to a higher power. I just got to keep grinding, man, stay in the fight. My saying, and just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I think the power of running is so much more than a solo endeavor, and you and many others are showing that it can really be more than just a fitness play. It can have a real impact on society, and it's fantastic to see that you're really driving that and encouraging others to do the same. And people just running in general, I'm sure you've probably seen a high uptake of people just lacing up their shoes for the first time in your neighborhood.
New runners, we want them. Come on in. We want you. We're happy to have you. I always take people on that lay that nonsense out about somebody doesn't count as a real runner because they didn't finish in this time. You know what? Don't play that game with me. I don't care. I know I finished a couple of those at a little over 4 hours. Those things were painful. Okay. I couldn't imagine being out there for 5 or 6 or 7 hours. I applaud those people. So anybody listening, if consider yourself slower and you feel like people don't give you the respect you deserve, I give you the respect. So good job. Anybody out there, you start small. You could be doing a 5K before you know it. You'll be out here hanging out with me and Lorna, doing the Abbott 6-star series, earning a big medal. So it starts small and then you build your way up.
Absolutely. And like you said, your mantra is very much stay in the fight. So before I let you go, not only do we need to talk about your attire this morning, I'd love you to give us a little showcase of your room and point out some of your lovely medals and little quirky things there in the background and on your desk.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's our pride and joy. And, there's no way I could close out the segment without talking about the power of Abbott and the series itself and how deeply meaningful it is, because I've always been a person in life who tried to achieve the difficult things or shoot for the really hard things. But the symbol of that medal and what it means to accomplish that goal and finish that goal and come across that last line and actually complete this journey around the world, because it is around the world. It's all those miles, and how difficult it is to get into these races. It's not just being fit enough to run them. It's being just to get into the race, whether it's through a charity bid or you've earned it with the time. And then so there's this whole cottage industry that sprung up around the awards that you all generate. And I've got my Abbott 6-star amazing coffee mug, which I love. I have my favorite drinking glass right here, my pint glass right here, the Abbott 6-star pint glass.
I like that you're hydrating. That's good.
Yes, of course. And that's fresh squeeze OJ. And then I have this little baby right here, which is for hot and cold, for wine.
I get that. I like that. Yeah.
One of my close friends had this made for me. This is literally amazing. Look at how tiny. These are pictures of me crossing at all 6. It has all my times from last year's 6. And it has, these are official. So these are logos. Of course, I'm blanking on the company who actually made it. But I could, if you were to reach out to me and ask me, I could send you the information, because that's just a couple of them. And then behind me on the big wall is that's my 6-star wall with a picture from each race. And a dear friend of mine, Tim Schmidt, a running buddy, made that stay in the fight sign for me. And that will always be one of my most treasured running items. So another friend, Darcy, from Texas, made, trying to think which company makes it, but it's a map. It's an actual map of the 6 races. And then underneath it has your times and your name. And she made this beautiful, memorabilia for me. And, that's what the running community is, doing those kind of things. That's what makes, that's what gets me out of bed in the morning, and doing those kind of things for friends in reverse when they achieve something big or hit a milestone.
Yeah, the community spirit is amazing, and you've really done a great job at bringing a lot of people together. And thank you for letting us into your home to see some of your memorabilia and sharing your stories. And it's been fantastic to hear about that journey, and obviously that your journey has no signs of stopping anytime soon. And we will see you, I'm sure, for round 2 and maybe more, Ron, if you keep going.
Oh, most definitely. And remember, you and Tim are slated to come on my podcast too, and we'll wait until the beautiful moment when we're all able to gather safely again. And we'll talk about all things when I get to turn the mic back on you guys and ask the questions about the 6-star series and where we're going, and maybe where the 7th race might be, and Wanda Age Group World Championships and all that other great stuff. So yeah, excited. Everybody keep grinding out there and stay in the fight.
And I was going to let you have the final word. So there you go. Let's wrap up this show in the way that you would wrap up your podcast, Ron. I'm going to let you close this one for us.
I would just say to everybody, lace them up, keep lacing them up. Peace out. And always remember to stay in the fight.